Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Monday, the 27th of March, comes to you from London. And we start by looking at currencies, then stock markets, uh, commodities, and some tech stocks. And this middle bit here is stock markets, and we can see a lot of red there. So markets are falling at the moment, but let's look at that in the context of the charts. Looking at the dollar index first of all, very significant move this morning. We are now below the cloud on the daily chart. That's the first time that's happened actually for several months. We saw we had a period of dollar weakness uh, this time last year actually. So we were below the cloud. We're back into a strong period. We went higher, but we have pulled to make a lower low, and this morning we see here that we are below that level that we set in February. So that is now a bearish move in the medium term. We do have a new downside target at 5% downside for the dollar, and we've met the downside target here. We still have the big upside targets in the long-term chart. So long-term, the dollar is still bullish, but the medium and short-term pictures have now turned pretty bearish. And so we wait for any sign of a new run in the dollar. We look now to the 60-minute chart, look for a cross on the cloud and new upside targets. But for the moment, the dollar is looking pretty bearish, and that's translating to the euro looking bullish. We're above the cloud here. Euro is now convincingly above this 108 level, and looks like we will hold the cloud position. So that is bullish. But again, we have these long-term downside targets hanging over us, and whilst we are making a recovery here, we see that we've still got these very big downside targets. We go lower still and we activate those targets. So a lone upside target, well, we still have 4 downside targets hanging over us. So it's just worth remembering that. Japanese yen also strengthening against the dollar. Dollar weakness there really clear as well, and looking like in the medium term we're probably going to go through the cloud there as well. Sterling up again strongly this morning. So we are seeing this 126.10 target being met. We haven't activated this medium-term target yet, but we are back above the cloud here on the medium-term chart. So sterling looking more and more bullish as well. Looking at the sterling euro rate, it's pretty flat at the moment, so no big change there. And the Swiss sterling rate also quite flat. Australian dollar, sterling really moving against the Australian dollar, so Australian dollar tends to follow the US dollar a bit more closely, and so we're seeing a rise there as well. S&P 500 index on Friday was down. We see the down day there. Tuesday was the really big down day, and we had a down week, first down week in several weeks. In terms of the medium and long-term charts, this is really just a blip, but in the short-term charts we are below, and we do have downside targets, so the markets are showing some short-term weakness. We're below on the Nasdaq, and we're below on the Dow Jones index as well, and on the Russell 2000. And looking at the futures markets, they're down quite strongly this morning, so it does suggest we're going to have a weak opening in the US. Footsie is also down quite strongly at the moment, down about 0.8%, just under 1%, and we will take a look at Footsie stocks in a minute. And the FTSE 250 is the same, we're below. The DAX also below, so we're just seeing a lot of these markets short-term falling below. The Nikkei even on that stronger yen is also falling, so we're seeing that as well. And the Hang Seng is actually holding its bullishness. It's one of the only markets that's still above the cloud in the short term, but we are seeing downside targets here of 3%, so that's suggesting that that will fall. Shanghai is still holding its own, and we do have short-term upside targets, so the Chinese market bucking the trend, and India now just turning bearish in the short term as well. Australian market, although it's below the cloud, we are still seeing these lots of upside targets here and no activated downside targets. Now to commodities, we start with Brent crude, and we see here normally weaker dollar means stronger commodities, but not at the moment. We're seeing here that we're just below this 51 level, critical on the medium-term cloud, still bearish below the cloud, finding resistance there on the lagging line, and we're just really wandering below this level. Downside targets 48.50. 48.50 is really the level that we've got multiple targets to, as much as 6% downside to 47. So we expect to see Brent below $50 soon. And of course, WTI is already below $50 with lots of multiple downside targets. Looks like crude oil has hit its top. That's showing a lot of weakness because we would normally expect to be rising at this time of year, but we are. That is now coming to an end, and we're seeing we're heading into a period of weakness. Nat gas is actually holding up quite well. US nat gas $3.12, so we're still bullish above the cloud in the short term. We've got targets to 344 and 325. And longer term 368 and 415. So nat gas is still looking pretty good. Copper has turned bearish, so we're seeing that there. A lot of the softs, we're seeing wheat down below the cloud, long term still bearish. Soybeans, again, just bearish, very bearish picture here, turning bearish on the weekly. Corn, again, bearish on the long and short term charts. A highlight is gold. Gold going to new highs again this morning. Nudging now, taking out this high that we saw in February. So big targets here activated. We're just about to activate this upside target to $1,530. That's 21% upside target. So we're just on the verge of activating that. We've got 1293 as upside target. Gold is really recovering. And we're seeing that with silver as well, as you might expect. Government bonds, 2.36% on the 10-year Treasury yield, so sinking lower there, which is quite interesting. Apple, still bullish above the cloud. Google is bearish short term, bullish on the other time frames. Amazon again short term. Facebook holding its bullishness above the cloud. And Microsoft also holding its bullishness, and Nvidia recovering as well. Taking a look at the FTSE 100, just a sea of red this morning. So we just click here on the percentage change to see where the good performers are. Randgold Resources up 2.3%, so that's bucking the trend, as is Fresnillo. Smiths Group is up about 0.5%. Centrica also, although bullish in the short term, we're just really trying to hold this support level on the lagging line. But interestingly, if we look here, we're just seeing some of the other charts here, Intertech, but mostly a mix. There's no clear theme on the FTSE this morning. Next holding its gains from last week. ROX, you might remember, was one of those charts that was the chart that came out top in our scan a couple of weeks ago, making new highs on the weekly and medium-term charts, and still looking pretty bullish in the short term with upside targets. So that's quite interesting. Taking a look at the bearish side, it's lots of different things. So we're seeing Babcock, IAG, we're seeing they're bearish below the cloud. Banks, Lloyds, bearish. A lot of the resource stocks, Glencore, BHP Billiton, Barclays again, it's the banks. We're seeing that coming right through. So BT Group in the news this morning, also bearish on all three time frames. So not a good looking start to the week for FTSE. Markets really selling off in the short term. Keep an eye on those 60-minute charts for a recovery, but the medium and long term is still holding up. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.